What's up, B2 Capital G here, checking out the brand new Errata on Destiny Hero Disc Commander. This is kind of shocking. I didn't even think Disc Commander was a card that Konami was really even interested in potentially bringing back, simply because it's been out of the game since the GX era. Some of you guys, I would say probably most of you guys, have never even seen this card played in real life, unless, I don't know, maybe somebody was playing like a previous format or something like that. That's just because Disc Commander has been out of the game for a very, very long time. But I can tell you, because I played during the entire GX era, Disc Commander was absolutely freaking nuts. The card had just way too much synergy, not just the ceiling of it letting you draw 2 cards, but it was a Destiny Hero card, which meant that you could get it into the graveyard really easily with Destiny Draw. It was searchable by Stratos. It was dark, so it was a Lure of Darkness target. And then also, even if you had to put it on the field, yeah, there's this little guy named Crush Card Virus that was like one of the best cards in the entire GX era. So the card had supreme utility. It had a super high ceiling of letting you draw 2 cards. It was not a hard once per turn, because hard once per turns did not exist during the GX era. It was just such an amazing card, and we had so much monster revival during the GX era. We had Monster Reborn, we had Call of the Haunted, we had Premature Burial. The cards were like all limited, but it didn't matter when there were so many of them. Also, Light and Darkness Dragon, it was like one of the best targets to summon back off of Light and Darkness Dragon. You get to draw 2 cards, and then you'd have a monster for like your tribute of a monarch or something like that. So yeah, Disc Commander had to pretty much be banned, otherwise it just would have gotten like way out of control, and Destiny Heroes probably would have been the best deck throughout the entire like 5Ds era too. Teledad would have never died. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at the errata, because I've spoken my piece about erratas multiple times. Sometimes erratas are too harsh, in my opinion. That's when you get like Brain Control and Sinister Serpent. I feel like Sinister Serpent is the worst errata of all time. The card is beyond toilet paper, in my opinion. I think Sinister Serpent is like unplayable. Same thing with Brain Control. Sometimes you get ones that are kind of like they hit that sweet spot. That would be Future Fusion and Ring of Destruction. Those cards are both very playable. And then sometimes I feel like they are unnecessary. Dark Magician of Chaos didn't need an errata. I also think that, oh man, there's another one that I had, Goyo Guardian. That was the most pointless errata. Like, why? Like, make it an Earth mod? That was just stupid. But anyways, let's see if they hit that sweet spot that everybody wants them to hit with the errata for Destiny Hero Disc Commander. It's still a level 1 monster, Dark Warrior, 300 attack, 300 defense. Disc Commander still has a ton of utility right now. Even if you have to normal summon it, you know, basically just turn it into a Link Karibo. You get basically the same stats out of the Link Karibo, and then you can just summon it back. Let's see. You can only activate this card's name once per duel. Good gravy. It is not a hard once per turn. Now it is a hard once per duel. Cannot be special summoned from the graveyard during the turn it was sent there, and its main effect is still pretty much that same. If this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can draw 2 cards. So this is interesting, right? And I do feel like Konami went a little overboard on nerfing Disc Commander. I understand why. I was watching John's video. John just like shit all over this card. I don't think it's as bad as he thinks. The thing about Disc Commander is, if you like, okay, so number 1, the fact that it can't be activated or it can't be summoned the turn that it was sent to the graveyard, I think that that's non-negotiable. Like Disc Commander being able to be sent to the or being able to be summoned the same turn that it's sent from the graveyard, that can't happen anymore. Like, that would be too easy. You still have Destiny Draw at 3. You would have these freaking guys running around with these stupid ass grass decks like, hey there, I sent Disc Commander to the graveyard, now I'm gonna summon off Monster Reborn, draw 2, so skillful. Like, no one would want that. People would just splash in one random copy of Disc Commander into decks like that, Light Sworn, and decks that get stuff in the graveyard. We still have so much removal that, or so much like revival, it would be a little ridiculous. Now the question is, did Disc Commander need to be a hard once per duel, or could it have been a hard once per turn? I feel like if it was a hard once per turn, that would be exploited. I'm just not sure if it would be exploited in a meaningful way, right? Let's just say that you did have Disc Commander as a hard once per turn. I mean, are you then playing it in like Destiny Heroes? Because I know the OCG is different because they have like double Stratos and whatnot, so obviously the format's a little different, but I'm just wondering if you playing Disc Commander in like some type of dart deck with a bunch of Call of the Haunteds and, you know, Monster Reborn, I'm just wondering like how good that honestly is. And I kind of feel like right now it's a dangerous card to even run, because if you send your Disc Commander to the graveyard, even with all the Monster Reborns running around or Call of the Haunteds and stuff, man, if your opponent Monster Reborns it, you're probably going to lose the duel. I feel like Disc Commander probably did not need the hard once per duel effect. I feel like if it was a hard once per turn, it would be pretty cool. Like it would be, I mean, there'd be plays out of it. I just feel like you'd have to kind of build an entire deck around this commander at that point. Like you'd be playing this Destiny Hero deck with like, you know, 5 or 3 Call of the Haunted, 3 Oasis of the Dragon Souls, and I guess you'd be able to play Perfect Circle Monarchs, but that's probably the best that you'd be able to do, considering that, I don't know, man, Destiny Heroes don't work all that well with Link Summon except I sold, and, you know, that card has its limitations, but I feel like this one was a little too harsh. I don't think it's completely unplayable. I just think that like you have to play it basically in a Destiny Hero deck now for this to even remotely be like good. So maybe that was Konami's intention. I think that they didn't want it to get out of hand with all the revival that we have. If we didn't have so much revival in the game, I think Konami would probably have it as a hard once per turn, but you have to understand we have 3 Call of the Haunted, Monster Reborn, we have Oasis of the Dragon Souls, we have Back to the Front. We just seem to be getting more and more revival cards, Soul Charge, etc., etc. So getting Destiny Hero Disc Commander out of the grave is pretty like fucking easy. So you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Turn on that notification bell for daily videos.